Beloved star, welcome to Immortal Starlight Pod, episode 38 we are, and this entitled something like the Sacred Garden. And this is a shamanic practice that was the first shamanic practice I was ever given, and it remains perhaps my favorite one, and I'd love to share more about why and how that interweaves with the elven lineage and remembrance, and also with the wisdom wrought within the pages of the Silver Wheel, the book of elven wisdom for the dawn that I wrote and brought through many moons ago now. And yes, this relates to, I've been thinking much recently about my profound gratitude for the shamanic practice that I've been gifted, that has returned to me in this lifetime. And the core of that, you'll see I'm holding my drum if you're watching on the new YouTube, which I'd love to share with you, an activation, a drum transmission in just a moment for the activation of your sacred garden. And I will explain a little bit more about what that is. So yeah, this shamanic practice, which for me the drum is at the very core of, and this extraordinary capacity to lift the veil on our awareness of the multidimensional reality we walk within in every moment, in every breath, and to do so in synchronization with the earth, with the stars, the sun, the moon, with natural cycles of timing, and the divine grace of that organic multidimensionality and sacred experience that is part of our natural legacy and our inheritance, our way of being upon this earth. And that as the drumbeat, which shifts the bandwave of consciousness, begins, one deepens into the state that is in fact profoundly natural to us and is becoming ever more available in our lucid and daily awareness. With the raising of the vibration upon earth, with the raising of the vibration of ourselves, we walk more and more, ever more, with that foot in both worlds. And that is a state that is continuous. It is an immediacy rather than something we just go into in spiritual practice or ceremony, or if you work shamanically with the drum. So still, those moments when we take up the ways of our sacred practice, and for me taking up the drum is a moment when I choose to receive really direct and clear insight and guidance from those multidimensional realms of my own greater being. And I love the clarity and the directness and the intentionality of this. And I trust the drum to carry me safely there and back again, and to land me here where I integrate the awareness of how to bring the wisdom, the energy I've received into my daily life, so that it really transforms and transfigures the way that I walk upon this earth, so that evermore there is that union and reunion between my immortal starlight dream, the far realms of the eternal soul star, and my lived life here upon this earth. And so that is what I love about the way of the shamanic drum, the way that it provides, literally like the reindeer's hoofbeats, a pathway there and a pathway back again, bringing the realities together evermore and evermore. So with that, the first practice I was ever given, and I discovered shamanism I came across when I was a student at Lampeter University in Wales in my very early 20s. And there was a New Age bookshop opened in town, and growing up in a family where all of that was woo-woo, definite, written in capital letters over the top of all of that with some disdain. So it was an act of kind of letting go of my self-respect to even go in there, which maybe sounds strange now, but it really was at the time. And yet I was drawn. I was really curious. So I went into this little store, and all around the walls there were these paintings, and they were in quite luminous colors, and there was a whole booklet on the wisdom of the artist who had painted these paintings. And I opened it and I leafed through, and it was Faith Knowlton, her work, and she wrote about shamanism and the way of the fire child, the way of the one who accesses sacred inspiration for the people, for themselves, shamanically, and brings it through into this world, making sacred art, in her case images. And I was a writer, so I read this very much from the perspective of the writer, so that art once more performs its sacred role and function. And she spoke of, this way of the fire child, of the one born with access to those other worlds, those deep imaginal realms that are yet imaginary and beyond, that are the portal to that which lies beyond our physical awareness. And the fire child, that part of us, as that one who longs to bring that starlight through, to inscribe it here, and thus to expand the sphere of our existence, to create, to evolve what we are present to bring beauty. And so I went to go and work with her, and she offered mentorship, and I went to go and start training to journey shamanically, and I was terrified. It took so much courage. I remember sweating before picking up the phone to call her. I've never been good with phones, and I still remember that one, just my hands sort of liquid before trying to dial this number, and heart beating away to organize to see her. But that just was the beginning of the most beautiful, beautiful journey. And I was actually too scared to journey myself at first. And she lay beside me. You can journey with someone who can journey for you. And she lay beside me, our bodies touching just our sides, and with the drum beat going, and journeyed for me the first time, because I was too afraid to go myself. And anyway, that has obviously dissolved long since, that fear of the journey. Although there can be moments of resistance, I say that now, just realizing that there can still be that resistance to opening the flower of being to that beyond, and really asking the questions. And I remember one of her beautiful Faith's amazing bits of guidance was, 2 things about the shamanic way. And as I went into her cottage, and the smell of the sage smoke, her sacred art everywhere around her, her paints and her ceremonial items, my heart it was, just mesmerized, and I guess a kind of homecoming, and just in awe of the beauty of a life lived in this way. 2 of the wonderful things she said to me, and one of them was that the shamanic practitioner is one who really cultivates this direct relationship with their spirit guides, first and foremost. That this is a path of that direct revelation, where all intermediaries vanish, and one goes direct. And that the way of the shaman is the way of cultivating that relationship. Like any other, it needs time. You need to journey to be with them, and to dance with them, to create an altar or make a gesture. It's something within our physical reality that is a follow through that continues to deepen that relationship. And she was very strong, being a sacred artist also, but it's so much part of the shamanic way, on that follow through, that one makes a sacred inscription or sacred art following your journey, that you don't journey so frequently that you don't have time to integrate or honor that which you have received. Because our spirit guides, those aspects to which we are connected in dimensions beyond this, truly bring and gift us the most extraordinary pearls and gems that can enlighten our entire existence here. And the temptation can be to just journey again and again, or even just to rest in the light of one journey for a very, very long time and not go back to see them again. But the encouragement being, yes, to really treasure and make the most, anchor what you've received in your journey here. Make art with it, create whatever it is, the way for you, follow through, and yes, secondly, to continue cultivating this relationship. So she would suggest going for a walk with my spirit guides, so I would set off and choose to have one or the other of them with me as I would go for a walk, to spend time with them. And so beautiful, beautiful guidance. And there was another one I was going to share. What was that? Direct guidance with the spirit guides. I can't remember what the other one is. It's disappeared for now. It'll come back in. It was with me a second ago. But the first practice she gave me was that in order to journey, which is there is a sense, if you like, of working with an invisible cosmology, which is founded fairly universally throughout shamanic practice in the understanding of three worlds. And then you may have many divergences from that point, but that there is a spirit world, if you like, or a world of energy that corresponds to our world here, and that's known as the middle world. And then we have the lower world, which is the world of energy, of power, and those inner earth energies, but also the dynamic, if you like, the energetic counterpart, if you like, to those animal and instinctual energies, the flows of that primal power that moves within us, our passion, our kundalini, our life force, correspondent to those energies. And that is the lower world. And then the upper world is the third world, the celestial world, the realm of the heavens, and corresponds to that love and that light, the energy of the stars, and wisdom. We can receive much wisdom, insight from those realms. And as I have journeyed in more and more into the elven light of remembrance, I've found that very much the lower world often corresponds also to the past, if you like, to the ancient layers of who we are, to the ancient wisdom of who we are, and to the ancestral energies. And then also above to the energy of the stars of the upper world, to the future, that we journey there to anchor, to access those future timelines. And if you like, it's a way of moving in the quantum field. We move into the quantum field of infinite possibility and multiple dimensions and realms of consciousness, and we access there the greater spheres of our own being and are able to inflow that into the present. And that ancient self and that future self, that eternal and celestial light of that which we are, is woven with us in every moment. But through that precision of that journey, choosing where to go. That brings me to the second thing that she shared with me. It's popped back in now. That when you make those journeys into those worlds, that the main key to having an effective journey is to have a clear question before you travel. And that actually honing your question takes more work, if you like, than the journey itself. So having clear intention, having a clear question. And as I trained with her, gosh, I could go into the whole explanation, which many of you may know already, the sense of the shamanic cosmology and the way that world works, and equally may be new to you. I'll just mention a couple more things, which is that one way to make sure that your journey is incredibly effective and to receive good guidance from your spirit guides is to have a clear question when you journey, clear intention. And that also, when you journey to the lower world, you have a principal animal guide who is your guide always in the lower world. They will walk with you, they will guide you. You let them know your intention for journeying, and then they walk by your side and guide you to where you need to go to receive the answer, the energy, the healing, the power that you need, the aspect of yourself that you need to reconnect with. And if there's ever any doubt in the journey, you can ask any being that you meet, any reality you enter into in those invisible planes, do you love me? And ask 3 times. And if by the 3rd time they're still around and present, then yes, they love you and they remain present and are the one to give you guidance. And if not, they will vanish out of the field if you're ever in doubt about what you're connecting to. So for me, those things were very important, the sense of having a very clear and powerful container. I've never been especially drawn to experiences for their own sake, for some reason. And it's been mostly for me a sense of very conscious intention of the evolution of my core being and becoming that love and that light, that divine presence here and now. And I would rather, in a way, move slowly or gradually in that coherence than garner extraordinary experiences for their own sake. So I've always wanted to move, perhaps to do with being a Virgo with Capricorn rising. It's like the goat moving cautiously and sure-footedly up the mountain. But yeah, despite having very far aspects to my nature, I've always wanted to move with that kind of coherence and care. And so then also with the upper world, that you have a guide specifically for the upper world. So that those are the first two journeys you make, is one to meet your power animal, which is where I journeyed with Faith. She journeyed for me the first time. And then to meet with your upper world guide. And those two will be your principal guides so that you can start to navigate into those dimensions. But the shamanic path is so beautiful because what happens is over the months, over the years, you develop this incredibly rich and detailed map and cosmology of your own roamings within those other worlds. You come to know many guides, many dimensions that you are intimately connected with within your core being, and can draw that sustenance, that support, that energy from, and the joy of interconnection with. And so all in support of that they love you, they are with you in the adventure of all that you are becoming for all worlds. And so to come though to the first practice I was given, so there were those core two journeys, meeting the guide for those worlds. But before I made any journeys, she handed me this little book, and I wish I could remember who wrote it. It was a tiny book, miniature, and it was a guide on forming your sacred sanctuary or sacred garden, which is actually a realm that when you journey into those other worlds, they are actually pre-existent dimensions. And you will find yourself traveling along pathways that reveal themselves to you just the way a pathway in this world does. But with the sacred garden, which is it is an energetic realm, but it's here. You don't have to journey to it, as it were. It's with you in any breath, any moment. You can just close your eyes, or not even. You could just feel it with you here. It is a realm that we imagine and we dream into being. And the purpose of this sacred garden is that it is the takeoff point for your journeys into those other worlds, into the lower world, into the upper world, and if you journey into the middle world, which is, as I said, the energetic correlative of this middle world plane, which I've never been very good at. I didn't mention that. That's never been a strength for me. Maybe it'll come in at some point, but I'm guessing you could have a middle world guide in the same way. And people, for instance, might use it to find a lost object in this world. Journey to find your car keys that you can't find. And for people who journey successfully that way, they can actually journey and truly find things, or discover answers in the energetic correlative of this physical plane that we are in. I said I've had highly unreliable results with that one, so I'm not going to speak more about it. I sometimes think that the spirits are laughing with me when I make those journeys. For some reason, it's not a function I've been meant to activate so far. So yes, with this sacred garden, that there is an entry point into the lower world, which may classically go through, say, the roots of a tree, or there's a cave within your garden, a place that you allocate where there is an entrance within this sacred garden that you dream, this sanctuary. And equally, there's an entrance point into the upper world where you can journey and access, perhaps classically again through the branches of a tree. There was a teepee in my sacred garden for a long time, and I used to go up through the top of the teepee, and and I think it's sometimes through the smokes of the sacred fire as they rose as well. I would fly up and go upward. So it's a way of checking in that you go from sacred space because your heart builds and imagines and dreams a domain of love, a beloved and sacred garden that you are the gardener of, you are the architect of. It can be anything you wish. But what I've come to understand is when we engage in this practice, which forms, yes, an absolute sanctuary, you can go there at any time, you can rest there, you can meet with your spirit guides, in fact, you can have encounters with them there, that it's a beautiful place to rest your heart. It's a beautiful place of meditation. You can morph it at any moment. It's never fixed. You never have to think, oh, I built that there and now I don't want that. Now I can't go to my sacred garden anymore. It's not what I want. You can change it at any moment. And mine has morphed over the years. But the architect and the gardener of my sacred garden for 20 years now, almost. And so it's just beautiful. Some of the core architecture is really still there, and yet other things have evolved and developed. And what I've discovered is, and what Faith so beautifully shared with me, another part of her guidance, when I said the classic question we ask when we start shamanic journeying, but what if it's just my imagination? You know, you long for this real connection, and the question that rises in your mind is, what if it's just my imagination? How do I trust what I receive? I remember her looking at me with these beautiful, owlish, dreamer, multi-dimensional eyes and just saying, does it matter? And it was such a deep question that rippled through my being. And I could feel how, as I expanded into that teaching, what we understand as imagination is not necessarily what I, ego self, have dreamt and created. I'm not a great fan of that expression, ego, but just for simplicity, that it's not necessarily from a self that is in a separated reality from that greater, multidimensional reality that we truly inhabit. The imagination in the elven and the star way of creation is a sacred portal and a gateway, and very often what inflows through that is actually the greater reality of our divine remembrance. And in my view, actually, the sacred gardens, which I've also come to know as the Stardust Gardens, and also the Golden Temples, that they carry the echoes. There is no coincidence in what you will dream in that space. There is no coincidence. It carries the echoes and the remembrance of your divine being, of your ancient self, of your future self, your star self, your earth self. It carries the light of the lost temples from the greater eras of starlight upon the earth and in other dimensions and worlds. There will be no coincidence in what you dream into being in your sacred garden and sanctuary. And what I've come to see over the years is how my golden elven dimensionality has wrought this sacred garden and is imbued with the light of the Temple of the Morning Star and the golden elven dimensionality that she inflows through her home world. Speaking in the third person there. But just to illustrate that our greater self, our avatar for the dawn of the star-seeded multidimensionality we are really bringing through for the dawn, and the homeworld that flows through, if you like, truly are the stardust from which your sacred garden rises. And it's so okay to let your imagination be the sacred portal to that remembrance. Because also in the elven and the star way of creation, as I've spoken before, that the imagination, when it activates in our higher dimensional being and body, it activates at this shimmering level of divine love and the play of divine love dancing forth from source, from mystery, the void. And it fashions forth, we become that very heart of creation, dreaming reality into being. And you can feel the difference when what I call the cosmic or divine active imagination sparks up within you compared to when, say, a lower dimensional version of the imagination is at play. The one that maybe we associate more with, more confining fantasies that may, and I've been thinking about this a lot recently, because fantasy and all of this can be amazing portals into our greater being and the eros of what we truly love and are called to, and the dynamic and beautiful life force of what we're called to. But I believe the kind of fantasy that isn't helpful, the kind of imagination that isn't helpful, and we know it for ourselves when it happens, so we don't need to be in a mystery around it, is the one that kind of fills us with more disconnection, more longing for what we don't have, for what we feel we are not, for what we feel separated from. It almost paralyzes us. It fills us with a kind of desperate inertia, a sense of I am not, and this is that, a sort of fantasy that we would lean towards and desperately wish for outside of ourselves. And that is just full of an endless sorrow and is so paralyzing to our divine and creative energy here. I know when I'm in that energy that I don't want to do anything. I kind of wish everything would effortlessly change, all of its own accord in some kind of way, or that a completely different reality were available to the one that is real for me. Whereas when I'm in my divine, cosmic, active imagination, it's as though I can feel it. I'm the shimmering heart of creation itself. It's as though it's that light of the divine forests, the flowers of the sacred earth arising through on the palm of my hand once more, shimmering around me through the love that I am into being. And there's a sense, this exists, this is. One is in an isness, and it fills you with energy, and it flows into everything. It flows into everything that you do. It fills you with energy. So I believe that's part of the hallmark by which we can recognize the kind of imagining that is this divine, cosmic, active imagination, part of the elven and the elder and the star way of being forever upon this earth. And so we imbue the light, but so too, as with everything, as I said, the boundless and the bound mind are one. That always, even within separation, there are traces of our divine connection. So even if we're going through that, if you like, lower dimensional field of fantasy, there are seeds. We can be guided home even through what sparks up for us within that dimensionality. We find our way home. So being free, feeling relaxed and at play as you dream your sacred garden into being, not being afraid of yourself and what you would long to have to rise around you, the beauty that you love. And when this is established, it forms part of the divine architecture and the technology of the shamanic way upon earth, the sacred way of moving in the fields of our multidimensionality in a way that benefits all realms, all dimensions, all timelines, and that calls us into being in the most magnificent and powerful and beautiful way. Because the shamanic journey, used wisely, will transfigure your entire existence. Used in the ways and with some of the key points and guidance I've described, it will transfigure your entire existence. And I love the way it can be used as a daily practice. You don't have to wait for the big special ceremony or, massive kind of breakthrough experience. It is with you. It is a sacred technology that is with you in every moment and can be used day to day, and brings such a depth and a wisdom of transfiguration, of evolution, of the beauty way upon this earth within our own lives. And so very passionate about this. Let me just share. I will just drum. I'm going to be teaching again in a moment. I just realized I spoke for much longer than I meant to. So I will wrap this one up, but I'm just going to spend a few minutes drumming and invite you, if you so wish, Kananara Thiera Tan, to dream your sacred garden into being. Theara Thiantai, that all at once is that golden temple, that lost temple, if you like, of the new earth that you are calling into being once more for the dawn. Teara Than Anayar. So settling into your body, your sacred space. Bringing your attention into resonance with the core of the earth, her inner diamond light. That heartbeat, that pulse of creation. Enai, that is always Ithara Iratan. And in the diamond radiance at the core of the earth, in the diamond light, the dear elder is coming toward you, clad in deerskin, embroidered with beautiful beads, and Nana, her graceful form, stepping lightly upon this earth, her eyes, her gaze aslant, she comes to you. And Yana, she bows, acknowledging you brow to brow and star to star in the old way. She carries a pouch, a deerskin pouch of stardust, the sacred dust, the motes of dust of divine love, that seed, your stardust garden, your sacred garden, within your divine heart, dreaming, soul and imagination, once more. She gifts this to you, and you accept it, holding it to your heart and giving thanks. Ianatyan. Sprinkle this dust around you and dream. Imagine, beloved star, your sacred garden, your sanctuary, into being. So saying, she disappears into the diamond light from whence she came. And you are emptying out the pouch, gently sprinkling. You open the drawstring, sprinkling this around you in a circle, the dust falling around you in a shimmering haze. Oyara thitian etare. As you complete the circle, you come to rest in the center, sprinkling a little upon yourself as you activate that sacred dreamer and creator, architect, builder, gardener of this sacred garden, this sanctuary of light for the dawn. Enyara Tetyan, activating your divine heart and dreaming, imagining now this garden into being. Anotre konanatare Ithira Thothian Nananthrayan Ornyate Ki Aratyan, the beauty that you love. Beauty that you love. You can create anything instantaneously herein. Yananya. It could be anywhere in any landscape. Karathi onatyan. As large or as small as you wish. Konan. With or without a dwelling. Anyarathe. Anan Tharayere. And with this, dreaming and imagining gently begun, beloved star, Yanananyana, you may carry this seed of dreaming with you as the drumbeat stops, stills, alters, Kanya, gently bringing your awareness back to your body here. Just landing back, just arriving here together. I complete this beautiful pod. I've been so overjoyed. I love sharing this teaching. It might be my favorite one of all. This teaching of the sacred garden, the Stardust Garden. It's brought me such blessings. And I know we all have our unique points of access and our unique ways. And I think for me, this is the one that has made meditation most possible. I can meditate from here, from this point of awareness. And yeah, it's been for me something that's worked, that's, as I said, has stayed with me for 20 years. So whether it is so for you, may this bless your days and your nights. So bidding you farewell now, and I shall see you soon, closing this pod for now. Bye for now.